All right, I just wanted to do a quick little recap of the formulas that you're going to need for your quiz on 8.1 to 8.3. Just as a little reminder, your quiz, I need a smaller pen, hang on. Your quiz coming up on section 8.1 to 8.3 will be next week, the beginning of the week. Since we're moving to block days, Monday and Tuesday, that means that Monday will be period 7 and Tuesday will be period 6. So that is coming up next week. Today is another day of review. Make sure you come to office hours if things have been a little confusing for you, okay? I can help you clear them up. So here are the two formulas you need if it's arithmetic. Remember, arithmetic means that you are adding or subtracting the same thing each time. And that thing that you're adding each time, that's called D, the common difference. So this first formula is what you're going to use if you want to find any specific term. So if I want the 10th term, plug in a 10. Or if I want the 100th term, plug in a 100. Okay, now the second formula down here is if you want the sum of a certain amount of terms. So remember that n is the number of terms. If you have a summation symbol, typically they start at 1. Let's say we go from 1 to 20. That would be 20 terms. Top minus bottom plus an extra 1. If I had the sum from n equals 3 to 10, let's say, that would not be 7 terms. It would be 10 minus 3 plus an extra 1. So that would be 8 terms. So just be careful about that. A sub 1 is your starting term, and a sub n is your ending term. You will get those. Let's say that we have k, and we're going from k equals 1 to 10, let's say. Okay, I'm going to use this summation formula because the sigma here tells me I'm supposed to be adding stuff up. So I know that I have 10 terms because it's from 1 to 10. So 10 over 2. My first term is what I get by plugging in that bottom thing down here. So I would plug in a 1, I would just get a 1. My ending term is what I get by plugging in that top number. So I would plug in a 10, that would be my ending term. Now, sometimes it could be a little bit more complicated. So let me erase and I will build onto this previous example. Let's say we have 3n minus 2, let's say, and the whole thing is in parentheses. So if I'm going to sum that up, there are 20 terms, so 20 divided by 2. The starting term is what I would get by plugging in a 1. 3 times 1 minus 2 is a 1. My ending term is what I get by plugging in a 20. 3 times 20 is 60 minus 2 is 58. Okay, so that's a recap of arithmetic. Geometric, here are your formulas. This first formula is to find any specific term. So if I want the 50th term, I plug in a 50. Oh, also just a reminder, geometric is when you are multiplying by the same thing each time. and that thing that you are multiplying by each time is r. Let's see. This is second formula here is when you want to find the sum of n terms. A sub 1 is your starting term. N is the number of terms. And r is the thing that you're multiplying by each time. That is for finite. So that is when your list of numbers has an end to it. The other formula we have is for infinite, and that is when there is no end. Now this formula only works if the r value is smaller than 1. Okay, so here's an example from your homework just the other day. We're doing a sum, and if it says to find the fourth partial sum, essentially what that's doing is that's changing that infinity to a 4. So I'm only finding the sum of the first 4 terms. Okay, so this is geometric because I have something times something to a power. So it is geometric. So I'm going to use this formula because this is for finding a sum. Here's where people made their mistake. They thought that the first term was a 5, but it's not. When you plug in a 1, that's 5 times 1/10 to the first, and that's 5 over 10, which is 1/2. Your starting term is 1/2. And then you do 1 minus r. R is the thing being raised to the power. And then n is the number of terms from 1 to 4, which is 4, over 1 minus 1/10. And when you do that, I think it was 0.5555. Okay. Now, what if I change that problem and now I want kind of what it was originally, from 1 to infinity of 5 times 1/10 to the k. Now, this is an infinite geometric, and my r value is less than 1. 1/10 is less than 1. So I do a sub 1, which again is 1/2. Remember we figured that out here. This was a sub 1 because we plugged in a 1. So a sub 1, I'm following this formula right here for infinite. A sub 1 is 1/2 divided by 1 minus r. So that would get you if it wanted from 1 to infinity. The original problem that you had asked for the fourth partial sum. I think some people gave the fourth term, and I also think some people thought that the first term was a 5, but it's not. It's a 1/2. So watch out for that. I've had that on 2 different assignments, and people have made mistakes on that kind of problem. So watch out for that. And then here were those extra random formulas. Typically, if you see something squared or something cubed, or to the 4th or to the 5th, although we haven't really had any examples of those. But these are mostly the ones that we've been using. So I just wanted to do a little recap. You probably want to have these written down on like a little note sheet for your quiz. I think that'd be a good idea. Excuse me. Yeah, that's about it. Come to office hours if you have questions. Thanks.